Earth, aka Sol 3 or Terra, is the greatest hub of human politics in the Sol system, not to mention the largest superpower, greatly surpassing the military might of Mars thanks to Earth's massive population. As it is the home planet of humanity, it is considered the capital of the solar system and the dominant governing presence led by the United Nations. Of course, over the years, Mars and other locations in space have become somewhat resentful of that. Many who call other celestial bodies and space stations their home no longer consider themselves a genuine part of Earth. Simply put, our home planet has become a strong business partner that the rest of the system begrudgingly does business with, and it is not as though the United Nations of Earth have tried to improve relations either. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Hello crows and non-crows alike, my name is Joe Mack, otherwise known as Supporter Crow, and today we're diving into the history of Earth, the major plays of the United Nations Navy, and what general life is like in this grounded sci-fi future. In the 21st century, the United Nations begins a campaign to colonize the solar system, the two major colonies being the Moon, aka Luna, and Mars. This is a great endeavor from the entire world, and it is at a time where things are not looking all that too great for us. The governments across the world are struggling to deal with resource management and maintaining a fragile ecosystem brought on by extensive pollution of our planet. The United Nations, however, is making great strides in the colonizations of Luna and Mars. So the governments of the world, all 193 of them, the United States, China, Russia, North Korea, South Korea, Israel, Palestine, all of them, do something that is a little hard to imagine. They all decide to give up governing their citizens and bestow upon the United Nations total governing power. The United Nations becomes a global unified government. Can you imagine how bad things have to be for every government in the world to essentially pass their authority and their responsibility over to a single governing entity? Jumping forward to the 23rd century, we have something that completely changes the game. The Martian Congressional Republic, now a colony of significant size, has declared their independence.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
The United Nations does not like this and is about to launch a full-scale war to bring Mars back into the fold. However, a technological discovery changes the game yet again. The Epstein drive. Yeah, I know, if I had a time machine, I'd go back in time and tell the author to maybe choose a different name, but it is what it is. Fortunately, this Epstein is very different. He's a Martian engineer that developed an experimental exhaust system using magnetic coils that allow a fusion engine to run more efficiently. This is something that no one else in the solar system has right now. And to put it simply, the Martian Congressional Republic is now going to go into this war driving Ferraris because of this new drive. Meanwhile, the United Nations Navy is going to be pulling up in a Ford Pinto.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
However, Mars does not want to go to war with Earth. Despite being technologically advanced, Earth has an advantage no one else does in the entire system: sheer population size. During the setting of the Expanse Osiris Reborn, Earth has a population of around 30 billion. I'm not sure how big the population is on Earth during this conflict, but I'd wager it's more than what Mars wants to contend with. So Mars might be pulling up with a few Ferraris, but Earth is rolling up with 300 Ford Pintos with another 300 on the way. It's going to be an incredibly nasty battle no matter which way you go about it. So Mars does the smart thing. The MCR negotiates with the UN and a deal is made. Mars trades in their invention of their new fusion engine technology for their independence. The United Nations, not wanting to be technologically outdone by Mars, reluctantly agrees. Thus the entire war was evaded, and Earth and Mars have been fairly neutral towards one another ever since. Up until recently, I should say. But thanks to this tentative peace and the technological feat, humanity was able to colonize the asteroid belt and the moons of gas giants. We were allowed to begin going outside the inner solar system. That said, the United Nations started to clamp down hard on all of these colonies to prevent this happening again, which of course will lead to a few pretty major events, most notably Anderson Station and the OPA, the Outer Planets Alliance, both of which we will get into in another video. So we covered a little bit of history about the United Nations, but what is life like on Earth? What is it like for an everyday citizen? To start off with, it's far from utopia. Earth has a documented population of around 30 billion people, which does not include the undocumented population. You are a citizen living on a world that is running dry of its resources, that is racked with massive pollution. The ecosystem has had way better days. Over 15 billion people of the world's 30 billion population is on the United Nations welfare system called basic assistance. The overpopulation is so bad that people who do not have jobs are not allowed to have children. It is against the law. An average, basic, everyday citizen of Earth in the 24th century is one consumed by poverty and hopelessness. There is a legal way out, a governmental education program, but applications are only valid if you have worked for at least 1 year. That's the trick though, it's hard to find a job when literally half the planet is looking for a job also. And even if you do get a job and you are actually handed some actual money, which is an amazing accomplishment, to be fair, your hardships aren't necessarily over. Among the employed, there's a hard class structure based on your level of income, which dictates how good you have it, the level of healthcare you have, the amount of resources that you have access to, whether or not you can actually have a child, because while you might have legal access to these things, that doesn't mean that you are prepared to pay off the license fees and the taxes that burden them. Yes, you can now have a child, but the baby tax is astronomically expensive. It takes a village to raise a kid, but now it also takes multiple families coming together to literally help pay off the tax of having one child.
137 million?
Yes, and if I don't pay up, I'll go to jail for tax evasion. I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
If you happen to have a child without having a job or just don't want to pay the tax, then you have to resort to using the black market for the medical needs of that child. Long story short, if you're not lucky enough to be born in a super rich family, then your life is likely going to be one of supreme hardship. Unless, of course, you start a career in the criminal underworld. Then you have a different kind of hardship to deal with. At least you have the freedom to make that choice. Unless you're extremely lucky to be born super rich, your life on Earth is one of survival and hard choices. And if you are born wealthy, then your life on Earth is one of luxury, but also predetermined choices, as there are more than likely a few different families working together to pay off the tax of your existence. And I'm pretty sure all of them want some kind of return of investment. I don't know about you, but this version of Earth really is not my kind of vibe. So how about next time we talk a little bit about the dreamers of Mars. Let me know what you think of Earth in the Expanse universe. How would you survive in this overpopulated society? Would you wait your turn in the job line until you're old and gray? Or will you join the criminal underworld? Would you join the United Nations Navy? What would be your way out? I would be looking for any way off the planet, legal or otherwise. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Special shout out to my support crow members, SolitaryWarCry and J Blastoise. Your support keeps me going. Until next time, as always, be safe, be well, be kind. Bye-bye.